I should have checked the audio as well. So we are live now, by the way. Hello everybody. Oh right, okay. All the audio should be good. Yeah. So hello everybody. We are live. I am professional strummer. Fucking hell, this is awful so far. I'm doing well. I haven't even opened my bottle of wine yet. My God. So hello everyone. Welcome to this chat. This whatever this will become. Who knows? This is the last stream of the year for me. I am up to the in-laws on Friday, and I'm going to be drunk for 8 days, which will be fun. Hello, Pete. So we're going to have a laugh with that, and we're just going to chill. We're going to chat about, I say we're all going to chat about Empire. Me and Dhi are going to chat about Empire. Phil is going to be on the stream with us for a bit. When it comes to chatting about the plot production side of things, Phil will be more useful to us there. So he can actually get involved in the conversation. So ask questions within reason, and I'm sure Dhi can answer a lot of them. We have represented the Christmas jumpers. Me and Phil have. We have done well. I think that's pretty much it to start off with. But yeah, so I should be back January at some point, and then we'll get started, and we'll probably do some fundraising for the next LARP makeover for E1, so we can give two brand new people who have nothing 200 quid's worth of kit each, and kit them up for whatever nation they're going into, so they are more prepared. So that should be fun. Thank you. 2 questions immediately. We'll let everybody introduce themselves first. So Dhi, if you wanted to start off.
Hey, I'm Dhi. I am head of costume for Profound Decisions. I've been doing costume for them for Empire for about a decade now. I did actually play from year 1. Where I say play, I was one of the initial bards when we used to have bards in every single nation to originally start off the music briefs, and then I NPC'd for a bit, and I still do NPC for a bit, because unlike other elements of behind the scenes crew, plot production tends to do a lot of other things, because we don't have enough people. But nowadays I'm mainly head of costume.
Excellent. And Phil?
Cool. I am Phil. I am the head of plot production and also the head of special effects, which is within the umbrella department of plot production. Been involved with Empire, I think, for 6 years, solely as crew, initially as SFX crew, and then got asked to take over the plot production role as a whole for the last, I don't know, some length of time. 4 years, maybe? Let's say that. 3-4 years? Something along those lines. Who knows anymore? Time's irrelevant. So, what is plot production? Let's cut to that, because that explains everything that I kind of look after, I guess. Plot production is
I will jump in and just say, let me read the questions, because otherwise we're all over the place. Because okay, go ahead. Come on, Phil, work with me here. You and your bloody jumpers. But yeah, I mean, technically that is all one question. What is plot production? How do you do a plot production? Why is plot production? And when is plot production? So,
yes.
You're all bastards in chat, by the way. Just saying. Just throw that one out
there. Plot production is our umbrella department that covers... Basically, we take whatever the plot writers come up with and then figure out how the hell do we represent this on the field, how I would boil it down. So that would cover costume, which is Dhi's domain, makeup, which is going to be both the more like face makeup we do to get Eternals looking the right way, and also the prosthetics we put onto people with lineages and everything along those lines with the NPC teams. So especially costume and makeup are working very heavily with the NPC department, even though that is a separate thing, but it all comes under the same mess. The props department is also part of plot production, so all the weird tat and decoration and bits and pieces we need to send out onto the field to give to players or decorate an encounter tent or anything along those lines. That's under that. The encounter tents are our 3 black box spaces that we have on the field. So it's a chance for players to do something not in Anvil and not out on a battlefield. And we decorate these tents rather extensively during each event. Typically, one space will be set up as a big build. So that could be a sunken ship, it could be a snowy forest, anything along those lines. And then we'll keep on changing that set dressing throughout the event constantly, every couple of hours, to match whatever plot writers want to pump out. And then there's also special effects, which is covering lighting, sound, atmospherics, so smoke and all that kind of stuff, which is largely what I do whilst I'm actually at an event. But yeah.
Nice. So that covers you cover a very broad spectrum of everything. In a roundabout way. If something's broken, you will come out and make it work again in that sort of way when it comes to atmosphere and costume and makeup and things like that. So this Eternal's had an arm fall off. You'll be the one they come and phone call to get out there to fix everything.
Hopefully the person will come back, but yeah, in principle. In principle.
I just realised how that sounded, but yeah.
I know what you mean.
So
I don't think we've ever, in the time that I've been around, I don't remember that ever happening. Normally we kind of catch if something's going to fail as it's leaving the monster tent, as opposed to halfway out on the field.
I mean, I've definitely been radioed to go on to field because an NPC or similar hasn't checked by me before leaving in a costume, and then their costume has started falling apart because it's unfinished or similar. Because we've got somewhere like you've got to like pin certain parts together for it to all drape nicely, especially on some of our like Eternals or Heralds, where you need things to sit in a certain way that can't really be sewn because there's different people wearing it, and they haven't realised that. They've gone out on field and then they've started like slowly having costume around their ankles. I've been in that situation. I've been radioed onto field to go redress someone mid-encounter. So it does happen occasionally, but usually we catch it in advance.
You've reminded me of something that happened to me in year 1, year 2, very early on. My character died in a battle, and when they were carrying me back from the gate to Navarre, they had me over their shoulders, but the people who were holding my legs decided to walk apart a little bit. They ripped me yeah, like that, and a photographer who will remain nameless, they took a photo, and basically you can see absolutely everything. I mean, the only person who would know me that well would be my mother. But basically, yeah, that was bad. But thankfully, they sent me a photo just going, you can have these before I delete them from everything I've got. So I've got it. I've got a photo of it somewhere because it's just hilarious to look at. But yeah, so I mean, it's weird that those sorts of things do actually happen quite a lot, because I've chatted to an Eternal as what they're wearing has, you can see it slowly falling down, and there's like two of us there sort of picking it back up and like tying it in a knot. It's like dressing an Eternal. It's like, do we get anything extra for this? Like, no. Oh, okay. And stuff. Right, we've had a couple more questions, because I think what people are going to realise with this one, because I did a little bit of research myself, and I don't do it too often, but I find that when I do, we uncover some bits, and I think a lot of people are going to discover that you do a lot more than they realise as well. So it's pretty good. So Curtis has already said that his favourite prop was the singing stone.
I made that in my garage earlier this year. Love that.
And then I painted it in a van on site.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
There you go. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Do you ever get this feedback, though, from people going, oh, I love this, I love this? Do you not get anything at all?
Not me personally, no. But, I mean, no one really knows what we do or who we are.
Yeah, so occasionally, like, something will end up in one of, like, because we've got, obviously, like, background groups where crew members are, and occasionally we'll get, like, the odd feedback in there, but as a general, we're a little bit clueless on how things are actually, like, viewed from players.
I hope stuff gets received well, but...
Me too, I hope stuff gets received sometimes, let alone received well, physically there.
There we go.
At events, our turnaround is just so quick to keep on top of the amount of plot that we need to get out that we just got to set up something up, hope it works, and move on to the next thing. There's no time to kind of dilly-dally about it.
No. So it would be nice though, because this is something that I've discovered doing all of these chats that Claire's set up. So we'll say thank you again, Claire, for helping set everything up. Feedback to you lot is rare, very, very rare. So I will say this to chat: if you do have anything really good to say, anything positive to say, or anything negative to say, any feedback is good at the moment. Just let us know in chat, and when I catch up with chat, because you're steaming ahead at the moment, we'll come to it and we'll read it out, so you can at least get some sort of positive or negative feedback. So Singing Stone, there you go, big hit. Nice. Bolam has said, what's been your favourite costume / special effect you've been involved with this year, respectively? Almost expensive.
Am I going first?
Either or. It's up to you.
This year, what was it? This year I started sorting out more of the Foreign Nation kit. I actually really like doing Foreign Nation kit because it means that I have to somehow dodge all of the already taken kit briefs for things on the field, so that when we turn up, people, one, don't think they're like heralds, and two, don't mistake them for another nation. So we did Yarm this year, which actually I did end up hearing feedback from. That's one of the things that ended up in one of the groups, and that was really nice. So for me, Foreign Nation kit, I like the slightly more challenging effort of making sure it doesn't cross over too much so that they're recognisable in a large group of people.
It must be a bit of a challenge, though, for you.
Absolutely. And because obviously usually if we're sending out a delegation, it's 2 or 3 people, and there's like 2,000 odd people on a field that are trying to see if they're possibly there. And like it's a mixture between the Yarm delegation has to work out where the players are. The players also have to recognise that some Yarm people coming over. And that's quite interesting, especially when it's a new foreign nations. We haven't actually sent them out yet. Put out something that makes players go, that's not normal. That kind of matches this semi-vague idea of those we may have in our mind. And I really enjoy that.
Excellent. That's really, really cool. So is there a foreign nation that you really want to work on then?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, actually. No, I can't think specifically of one that I think I can say aloud that I would like to work on. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay, excellent. How about yourself, Phil?
Dyer, was the event this year where we wrapped up Tom Hancock's like a mummy and then moved him over on a sack truck?
Oh, that might have been E1!
Yeah, I think it was this. Basically, I get, right, here comes my knowledge of this game. Some shark people went through the Hall of Worlds, and Matt asked me, can you make the Jaws theme, but not the Jaws theme, to play at some players for me, and squirt some water at them across through the Hall of Worlds portal. So that was great fun. I was just squatting in a corner behind the portal, playing the Jaws theme, squirting with water, chucking Tom Hancock's through, wrapped up as a mummy, wheeling him over to the Hall of Worlds in a sack truck, so because we fully bound his legs and everything.
Oh yeah,
we probably should have done it there and not in the monster tent, but hey ho.
No, Phil, we probably should have done it without warning the refs that Tom Hancock physically couldn't move, and we were about to yeet him through a portal into a room full of people that are expecting a fight.
I think it was mentioned loosely, maybe, for a bit.
No,
I don't know.
It wasn't, because I had the refs on the radio going, what have you just done? This is not the Siaka Heralds they thought they were going to fight. He just nearly got trampled whilst bound in a bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I don't know the context. I don't know the context to anything I do at Empire. But it was great fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
By the way, just to clarify for everyone, Tom was not only consenting, he actively asked us to do this. We didn't just steal someone and be like, we're tying you up in a bag. Tom was like, the only way that this will work is if you choose to put me into a bag and tie me up and we'll be there. In his mind, there was no other option.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Oh my God, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, join plot production. get in a bag and yeeted.
Yeah.
Bonus. Love it. That's amazing. That's so good. Oh dear. So what's been the most expensive bit of most expensive thing either of you have done then since you've been working in plot production?
I don't know.
Because I'm assuming PD give you like a little bit of a budget or something. Say, can you please try not to spend over £5.99?
We
Basically
get
that. Yeah, something like that.
well, sure. That's my problem, effectively. I get given a lump sum budget for the year, and then I decide how I want to distribute that across all the departments and everything like that.
Right.
And then it's easy enough to break that down per event. And it's, from what I can tell, it's a fairly generous budget. When you look at other teams and stuff on site, we're very well looked after, and because at the end of the day, we're the people that make the magic in the system exist.
Yeah.
And without that, the game would work. Players can role play. Players make the event at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. But there is something to be said. If the Regio didn't have all its lights and sound effects and all that kind of stuff, it would be a bit naff just watching some cringe magic or whatever.
It's kind of the difference between like being us in other systems where they're like, oh, you see like some smoke over there in the distance, then out of the smoke comes a dryad and it's a person in a tabard and there's no smoke but there is a bit of a tree line. It's that difference to making it so it's more immersive, I think, which is why we get quite a decent budget overall compared to other teams.
Yeah.
But most expensive stuff, I've started making a push of overall gradually upgrading all of the special effects across the site. I'm currently working with a Dutch developer to bring in a fully remote, online controlled lighting and sound control software, which can be controlled anywhere on site from any allowed device. So we can control the encounter tents, we can control the Hall of Worlds, the Regio, all those bits and pieces. So gradually bringing in that system has been quite interesting. But to be honest with you, most of my budget goes to the big builds and the encounter tents each event. We really want to, at least one of the tents, we want to buy a bunch of new set dressing and really throw everything we can at it to make that space amazing. It tends to be in every single like tropical hot event that we have, it's always a snowy tent. And the temptation to force players to put on like lots of furs and be like, okay guys, you need to roleplay that you're freezing cold in here. Come on. The temptation is high.
Oh my god! Just reminds me.
The irony is not lost on me pumping
Lord
in
of
a
the
snow
Rings,
machine
isn't
into
it?
that. Yeah,
it's the Lord of the Rings when they were on. Is it Caraderas? Was it with John Rhys Davies, where they're just throwing all of this fake snow at them, and of course he's wearing all of these really hot things. And it was like 35 degrees in the warehouse, and they're going, it's freezing cold.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so cold.
Yeah, the temptation is always there. But yeah, that's the majority where my budget goes, and like where I put the department budget is probably to just really throw everything at the encounter tents, because everything else kind of it doesn't need quite as much.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Okay. So I will say to everyone in chat, I'm going to be working my way down the list of all the questions that you ask. So if you ask a question, it is on my list. I work my way down to it. All right. So do you do like the past life visions as well of getting all of that sort of set up for people?
Yep, that comes under the encounter tents. And there's kind of there's every department has its own head as well. Like Di's head of costume, Jess is our head of encounter tents, and there's been a few kind of more dedicated people within the encounter tent team who are very, very passionate about the past life visions and making those happen, working with the plot writers. So that's part of what the encounter tents do, but it's not just past life visions.
Yeah.
It's all manner of different encounters and bits and pieces we can do.
Because I've been told that next event I'm getting offered a past life vision. Well,
it's really cool
to do it. So then at E2 I should do it, and I've already had the heads up from some members of crew saying you need to write a background.
Probably helps.
Well, I played my last character for 9 years, and this character was just like, I don't care anymore. Really, it's just a bit of a throwaway character, and I've done so well with it already. It's just like I'm getting all of this stuff, so it's lovely. It really is lovely, but I'll have to put in some bit of brain power behind it. Fingers crossed
It's
for
worth it.
Emperor Nicovar the Insane. You know, that would be hilarious to bring back into the field. So, yeah, use the wiki, Phil.
What's that? What's that?
Ask Di later.
I don't want to have to broach that.
Oh god, yeah, okay. Empress who was the worst of everything. Burnt books, destroyed knowledge. It's just an absolute psychopath. Fingers crossed. That'd be so much fun to bring in. So Helen has asked, do you have a favourite element to do special effects for? Or I suppose favourite area within the game?
Not smoke, not smoke.
What do you mean? Smoke's great fun. I love that. Let me think. So I don't think there's anything specific, but it's when, especially with sound design, which is a passion of mine, you can, with an encounter, get really visceral reactions from players, and it's in reaction to whatever like sound stuff I'm pumping out, all that kind of thing. I remember there was it was quite a fast-paced encounter, but the players were on a shipwreck or something along those lines. And like the wind was howling and thunder was coming in, and there was this constant feeling of time pressure and having to make a very unfortunate decision or something like that. And with every single thunderstrike that I pumped out, it scared the shit out of them. And just hearing those reactions out of people and that kind of thing, and just knowing that I got them that much more immersed in whatever they were doing, phenomenal. Yeah. I know that that's not really an experience they could have had anywhere else on the field, just because the kit's only kind of in one place. So it's that kind of thing. Like, I guess getting that immediate feedback from players and knowing that what I'm doing is working for them, it's adding to their experience. But to a large extent, there's also a lot of satisfaction I get in. 9 times out of 10, I have to set an encounter up and then run off and go run another encounter somewhere else. And I don't actually get to see, I guess, the fruits of my labor or anything like that. But from professionally working with in the event scene for however many years now, I'm used to, like, I don't need that feedback or encouragement. I'm pretty confident that what I do is pretty good and people enjoy it. So, but yeah, it's nice to hear that whilst it's happening.
Yeah, that's good, because I think the sound always affects everything, isn't it? It's one of those, it can make an encounter, a conversation, being in an area more, like you say, more visceral. So I mean, I hear from people about like going off to somewhere like the Black Plateau or something like that, and all they hear is whispering going on around them, and knowing that it's not coming from the players or something like that, it's just nothing actually there, but it gives it that more, makes it all more emotive, and it adds to the feeling, and it's a really good thing. So it's really, really nice to react to, and it gives the players that something else to grab onto, doesn't it, and respond with.
Again, it's the magic of the world, and the thing that people are playing in. It's an element that no other player is creating as such. It is, it's the only real way we can embody the actual magic of the system effectively. Is through light and sound. That's
Oh yeah, definitely. Colours asked, what have been and what are often your favourite types of things to work? Oh, I think we've just done that one. A favourite encounter tent dressing, favourite bit of costume, makeup, etc. So that's more for Di.
Hello. Favourite like specific Eternals. I absolutely love dressing specific Eternals, and especially we've got a few Eternals who over time have changed. So obviously we've had like Eternals that have shifting forms and things like that, so I really enjoyed a while back where we did like the embodiment of Janon, and then had to have the matching heralds that would go out with Janon during some old Freedom plot maybe 5-6 years ago now. Jaehaerys went through a whole shifting costume as his, like, because as the Eternals interact with the players and stuff, we've slowly shifted some of the Eternal costume to reflect some of that over time. Like, I've done it a bit with the Whisper Gallery and such to show like how important different elements and members of the Whisper Gallery are in the past. I really like dressing things like that, where it's like slow, subtle differences that we're making to what is essentially now a classic costume for those Eternals.
It's
definitely a favourite.
Okay, that's
line with that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
there are a bunch of Eternals that have been written, and then you look at the brief or whatever and go, how the fuck do we represent that on the field? How do we get a 10-foot column of flame in a tent, right?
Yeah, that is Janon.
Yeah.
That's why we gave a physical embodiment for a little bit when we had to get some plot out.
But I have now been starting to implement more and more projection into encounter tents, and hopefully we'll get the Hall of Worlds eventually and that kind of thing, because that's a really amazing way of, again, like, bigging up the scale of what we can do, and more than what we can dress someone in a costume and makeup and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've been playing around with that in encounter tents. Ghosts are quite a fun one. We've done Lord Rain. We've been able to kind of visualize how that would look. And we're just I'm starting to build on that more and more now. A Leviathan, I'd love to get at some point as well.
Yeah, I was about to say Leviathan. That was.
Yeah. We'll get there. I have plans.
Leviathan would be good. Very, very good. Curtis has asked my standard question: is there a particular kind of feedback that is helpful to your departments, or a type of feedback you'd like more of?
I don't really care massively about receiving feedback in I need to be told this was good, etc. But the one thing that is useful is, I mentioned foreign nations before.
Yeah.
It is really useful if I get player feedback on foreign nations or heralds. If it's something that you like actually recognize, you see a herald out on field and you're like, oh, that's a herald of so-and-so. It's really good to get feedback on whether you're immediately visually recognizing what different heralds are and what different foreign nations are, because then we know whether we're actually hitting the brief on making something that is noticeable as what it is, essentially.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because otherwise we don't really know. We're like, oh, we're going to send out all these night heralds and stuff. Or we're going to, like, for instance, Heralds of Janom. We don't know if that's how they're initially perceived at all.
Right.
And obviously with the growing player base, it's more important that like those kind of things are perceived as what they're meant to be on first glance, because otherwise you just end up with a few people who've always known what they look like will still go, oh, it's them. But then new people who may have seen them once or twice won't necessarily recognize it. So it's really useful for me to get feedback on whether people are being able to, from a distance, go, oh, that's so-and-so herald. Oh, that's Yarm, etc. So that's good for me. I like that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. How about for you, Phil?
I don't, for like the bits and pieces that I do, I get my feedback from the encounters that I have to physically man and run, and I hear the players being immersed in their roleplay and everything else. So effectively, I don't want to be noticed in what I do. Sure, you'll see some light changes. Sure, you'll hear some sound changes, but as long as whatever I've done hasn't ripped you out of your immersion, and suddenly you just, again, you're a nerd in a tent, wondering what the hell's going on, because something weird happened, then I'm confident and happy that I'm doing everything that I need to do to make that encounter better. So no, from my end, I don't think there's any meaningful feedback.
So your positive feedback is on the spot then, because you can hear it there and then. So whereas for Dhi, it's more, it gets it a bit later.
I've got no idea if you worked out what it was that came to find you.
Exactly. So it comes a bit later for that one. So there you go, Curtis. Right, let's keep. Are you looking? So Carla's asked, are you looking forward to the coronation? Are either of you going to be involved in doing anything for the coronation?
Yeah, it's my problem, isn't it?
I reckon the production is going to end up involved in some way. It's one of those we don't have enough hands and it's going to happen.
Yeah. I've started chatting with part of the set dressing team, the head of set dressing, Freya, who has plans, and we're also talking with the new Empress.
Yeah.
Whoever the person is getting coronated, or whatever that is. They have some ideas of what they'd like as well. Great, cool. So they basically sent me a rider. So I've kind of looking at it and like, no, you can't have brown M&Ms. No, you could no. And just trying to figure out how do we do this. The exciting part of this is the last time a coronation happened, I think the player base was quite literally half the size.
Yeah.
So even if you assume, okay, maybe 50% of the player base are actually going to give a shit, that's still 1,500 people. So it's now the headache of how do we make this as accessible as possible, get as many people involved in it as possible. And there's some obvious like things you would think about, but then I have to start thinking about the logistics side of, do you know what? I don't want to get 1,500 people through the Sentinel Gate to go onto the battlefield, as much as it is a much bigger space. That is a really easy way for people to get trampled or whatever else. So it's having to think about what other way can we do this now? Just because the game is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like a scary part is the weather as well, because imagine 1,500 people following through a sentinel gate at once in muddy weather. Like, it's just going to destroy sections of the field
be
trying to
a
get
quagmire,
people
won't it?
involved.
yes, so we have plans, but we're going to meaningfully start pushing ahead with that in the new year. Is kind of my thought process with that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm quite curious actually, to everyone in chat. How many of you would actually go to the coronation? I'm quite curious to that one, because I know that the first one that happened, I found out about it. I think it was an event after it happened, so it meant nothing. Meant nothing to me. I will say as well, Dee is actually reaching to a cat. She isn't just sat there with her arm up for the sake of it.
Thank you,
please,
thank you.
me next.
So it's just how I like sitting. Yes, just
There is a cat up there, I promise you. So, but yeah, I'd be interested to know how many people were looking forward or are planning on going to it. So that's my attendance on the coronation depends on how busy Nathea is. I suppose. I suppose for me it depends if what I'm doing.
So
Shit.
I think the big overarching plan that I have is that we can't just have it it could culminate in a place, but the entire whatever it is can't just happen in one static location. That's insane. So we have plans to make it a bit more mobile, I'll say for now.
Okay, that's a good.
Or at least
idea.
part of it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There are some lovely pubs in that field. I will say that as well. So
Probably. Why would you go on that side of the hedge? That sounds scary. I went to Dawn for the first time this year. It was too far away. I don't know why anyone would walk that far. Good grief. But that was literally the furthest I've ever been onto the player field in 6 years.
Well, I will say this to you, Phil. If you ever come to Wintermark, where I am, we have a pub. You can sit down and I will get you free drinks.
Wintermark's like even further away, isn't it?
It's right next to Dawn.
Right, and I'd have to put on like
further away,
and I'd have to put on some like weird costume. No, thank you.
Or on a Thursday.
Oh, I'm setting up then, buddy.
Yeah.
I start setting up on Wednesday.
Well, there we go. So my attempts to be nice and offer you a free drink has failed.
honestly. What day do you think these singing stones get painted?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, in a
now.
van on Wednesday, obviously.
Yep.
So, oh god, so that's the coronation. Is there anything the player base does that you really wish it wouldn't do, or does do that you really welcome, which makes your job easier? I suppose for you, Phil, you're not really. I suppose it's you're running more encounters, aren't you? So it's like whatever they do in the field, it's like you just do what you do anyway.
Yep.
no, some things happen in encounter tents as well. Or maybe Phil's just not been there at the moment that happened. Players that leave us with things they want back.
Oh, yeah, no, that's bad. That's really
the
bad.
bane of our life is when players, and it's really nice of you, like you'll make a token for an eternal or something. But if you want it back, like do the giving it to them, and then before the eternal leaves, like a lot of the time they'll try and hand it back if they get a chance, but be like, OC, taking the item back. I see you leave with the item, because otherwise we end up with like a collection of things, and then that gets sometimes packed away for in a rush at an event because it's been raining down for days. If not, it makes it to God, and then it semi gets passed through God, but they often don't even have PIDs on them, so then they're in lost and found. It turns into a wild goose chase where like a year later a player will come up to us and be like, hi, do you have this item? And we're like, did you have your PID number on it? Did you tell us where to find you or even what your name was? Like, it's the worst. It's really, really cool to make something and be like, yeah, I see, I'm giving this to you, and show the NPC it and stuff. If you want it back, please, God, try and keep hold of it or take it back before the NPC leaves. A lot of the time, the NPC will remind you and be like, can you just keep hold of this? Because we do tend to tell them to, but occasionally, like, people leave stuff behind. They'll put it down in an encounter tent on, like, an altar or something and then leave it there. And it's so hard, admin-wise, for us to maintenance get it back to you. We have so many things. That would be my main one.
Because it just becomes another bit of decoration.
Yeah.
Again, like I think, as much as for a player going to an encounter, that's probably the only encounter they're going to have in a tent that year. But maybe at least that event, maybe that year. For us, that's one of 20 encounters that weekend, and the turnaround is quick because we want to give as much plot and as many encounters to as many players as we physically can. But yeah, at that point it is, I've run off in the woods, I'm going to go be like bullied by hornets for a bit. I'm going to run back and then start tearing this tent down to get it ready for the next encounter.
Yeah.
I don't know that you made a pretty item because I've just burst into that tent to rip it apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, look after stuff that you don't want to vanish into the black hole. And please don't be too upset if you do leave something with us to vanish into the black hole, because it has.
Vanished in
Yeah, Miss Penner, it's fine if you're happy to give the thing away. We don't mind as long as we don't have to have the problem of trying to find whoever it was and give it back. Feel free to give items that you're fine with disappearing. We're good with that. Just please, please, please do not leave NPCs or in tents that are like encounter tents items you wish to have returned to you.
But yeah, that was sort of leading on to, I was going to comment on that as well. Miss Penner is a fantastic artist, and she does a lot of canvas paintings that she does for people and stuff. It's all IC, some IC and OC. But I know someone who wrote a book for Empire about farming that actually got published, and you can actually buy it on Amazon now. And he brought it to a meeting with Prospero, and he tried to give the book over. But that explains why the person was like, yeah, and then gave it back. He took it IC as an IC thing of, they didn't want it. But it was probably more of a,
yeah, it's
you
more
need
of
it
a,
back.
It's a really nicely made item that you probably are going to want back. Please don't do this to me.
It was more of a, I think he wanted it to end up with Andy Raff, because this is the sort of stuff that Andy Raff loves. When people do like add to the lore and all of that sort of stuff, because he loves it. But it had to, because it's a nice. I've got it somewhere actually. Where did I put it? I'll put it somewhere. No, it's not there. Oh yeah, there we go. So he actually made a proper thing. But it's really nice. It's even got his photo on it. You gotta laugh. But it's just because it's nice. So they just wanted to give it back. So
a lot of the time that will be the case, because we do try and brief them too.
So I might just have to say to him, you want it to get to Andy Raff, take it to God, in a big envelope, Andy Raff written on it, and hand it over, because I think he'd appreciate something like that.
You'll also, like, anything that gets handed to random NPCs, if you're wanting it to get to a plot writer, the chance of that happening are so low it's not even funny, because it comes straight into plot production, and plot production are actually situated in separate places. So unless plot production are magically aware that this is going to a specific plot writer, or the plot has asked for something to be given into them, we have no idea. We're just sorting through everything that comes back into the main monster tent, and a lot of plot is actually situated in the cabins that are next to it, which means that chances are they'll never find out about it. We won't know because it's just in a pack of items that have come back that we need to resort into our whole hoard of belongings. So yeah, it's very much if you're wanting it to go back to a specific person and the NPC that's come up to you hasn't said that they're after this very specific thing, the chances of that happening through that medium are so low. And it's not because we don't like you, it's just because we're doing a lot.
Again, like an NPC are going to come back in from the field.
Yeah.
They're going to have to debrief from their plot and then get ready to go out and do another role or go on a break or whatever. And yeah, it's a constant busy turnaround. I know you had a chat with Beth and Rowan.
Yeah, I imagine
recently, so it's busy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, really.
We want to get as much plot to the players as we physically can, and I don't think there's another Fest LARP, maybe in the world, who knows, at least in Europe, that really tries to get as much intricate plot out as Empire does. And still, it would be amazing if we could do even more plot, but the player base is going to grow way quicker than the crew side of it ever will.
Yeah,
and just what we can physically manage.
Because I mean, I'm quite. I think I'm quite lucky and privileged in the position that I'm in doing all of this sort of stuff, because I get a lot of people talking to me about other games, other systems, like from all over the world and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of it is very tough. I mean, you look at Drakenfest and it's like they have to run. I mean, Drakenfest, a big event that they do, it's just a combat event. That's pretty much it. It's battles. So this is why they run smaller events where they can go, right, if you want plot, come to this event, please. And they get like a quarter of the amount of people turn up to it and things like that. So yeah, I do agree to that. So it's essentially, it just seems that I think this has been a constant theme throughout all of it. PD would love more people involved in delivering the plot, writing the plot, helping do what you do, just more numbers essentially. So
yes, with the caveat that whilst from my point of view I don't expect anyone to have require professional experience and a whole CV or whatever else, there is a level of people being right for the role and not. Plot production is a pretty hardcore role in the PD side of things because, like I say, I arrive on a Wednesday.
Yep.
I am setting up from the time I arrive. The event starts. Hopefully, I've set everything up before the event starts. Then I'm working the entire event to run the plot out, and then I've got to pack everything up and go home on Sunday. So there is no R&R time, really.
Yeah,
I think Dyer manages to get out into the field like for an hour very late at night sometimes.
Absolutely, and I know at least for me and Phil, we also do a whole bunch of work when we're not on field. So like throughout my time when I'm not on field throughout the year, I am writing briefs for foreign nations and stuff to make sure that we have cohesive kit sets for them. I'm going over any issues we've had on previous briefs, updating the wiki on things like that. And then on top of that, I'm making new kit, I'm commissioning kit, I'm going through all of our costume budgets, I'm making sure we do all our fixes. Because obviously, NPCs are playing like 10 plus rolls a day, which means they are ripping kit on and off themselves. The level of wear and tear that we end up with is insane. Like, there are just bags of fixing kit, as well as a lot of our kit initially came from theatres and stuff, so we're also having to constantly like resize kit, get larger kit, get smaller kit, because where the NPC turnover is, we end up with people. I've got people that are like 6'5", and then people who are like 5 foot nothing and size 0, and I'm just it all has to fit all of them somehow. So having people, like, if you're looking at a department, thinking about what applicable skills you have for that department, and also your own capability to deal under stress, because it's really enjoyable if you're committed to doing it. But we super need people that are committed, because it isn't easy going. And certain members, you will have stuff that ideally you want to do and you're not on field as well. That's not obviously a requirement in no way, shape, or form. But like for costume, ideally people who can sew. I've had people on costume for who can't sew, and it's nice when they're on field for a day or two to help like dress people. But overall, there's so much more to the role. So if you are looking to apply for certain things, like preferably don't apply to an NPC role if you're not comfortable like memorizing a brief and going and talking to strangers out loud. Like, don't join costume if you don't think you can sew or at least memorize what all the costume briefs are. And it's very much when you do join, because of the amount that we put out, we can't micromanage, I think, is the big one that we found, because we've tried before, and we, like, as heads of departments, we just don't have the time to micromanage people because we are doing so much all the time. So you also need to have a level of like autonomy in whichever department you choose.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. You need people who can manage themselves, just know how to get in, crack on, and then go off and do what they need to do with a very
and like, to be blunt as well, from a logistics point of view, I have a limited number of crew spaces I can allocate to even my different departments. So as much as I'd love to get like everyone on that I could, because obviously numbers would be great, actually I need like 5 core people. I think I can get like 3 people max in costume right now. Obviously all of this is subject to change and I can bat numbers around and stuff, but ultimately I've got 3 spaces in costume. I need those people to be shit hot to some extent. There's obviously going to be a learning period. We're not expecting people to be superheroes, and at the end of the day, in any role you're volunteering in at Profound Decisions and at an Empire event, you are a volunteer, and your well-being and everything comes first and foremost. We're like, I crew a lot of events around Europe and all this kind of thing. I'm gotten really into the international scene, which has been great, as well as stuff in the UK, and I've never been better looked after than at an Empire event, hands down.
Oh yeah, the crew welfare is incredible at Empire.
It's
to
amazing.
be fair, like,
I mean, that makes it like not worth it, but like I'm happy to put in some insane hours because yeah, we are really well looked after. It supports me doing 14-hour days or whatever insane nonsense I need to do.
So would you say
because I want to.
Would you say what you two do then for PD? It's more of a passion project because you love what you do.
100%. 100%. I don't think I would have stuck around for the last decade. It wasn't to an extent. Like I do. Yeah, I really enjoy it. There are elements of it where it's like, oh, this is rough, but like it's what we do to make it an enjoyable event. And I know I also quite like working under pressure, which I think Phil does too. He likes going, oh, this is a really bad situation, let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of professional experience in theatre and live events and that kind of thing, and I absolutely thrive under oh god, everything's falling apart, let's go. I'm a workaholic as well. I love what I do professionally, and being able to bring all of that into Empire and into LARP has been so rewarding for me because I know when I started looking at the encounter tents and the way everything was set up, it was slightly horrifying how much technology was being abused, and everything got way more reliable at the point at which I was and took over and started looking after bits and pieces, and just seeing like everything getting more reliable, we're able to do bigger and bigger things. That's everything for me. So yeah, I love what I do with it, and I'm just a slightly, I don't know, I wouldn't say broken person, but some wires are crossed in my brain because I love stress. I never get stressed. I love the more pressure and the more things I have to do, the better. Any event where we don't actually have much plot to do, we're literally sitting on our comfy chairs for the first time, or like even like the 5th time that event, and going, "This feels weird. Why am I not running around like a headless chicken building something?"
Think that something's wrong, don't we?
Yeah.
We're sat for more than about
We're
an hour.
actually on top
like...
of stuff. Like, this is weird. I've had time to go and get dinner. Oh. So you have to be the kind of person that enjoys that, which I don't know why you would be, but come join us if you are.
There we go then. There you go. Everyone in chat. There you go. If this seems what you fancy, because we had a lot of people who fancy joining NPC, the NPC team.
Oh yeah, I guess that sounds like fun, doesn't it? Going and role playing with nerds. Ugh. No.
Yeah.
Come do some hardcore work. That's where the fun is.
I'd like to ask that anyone who is thinking about joining NPC knows which way round a tunic goes on, because I would love to pretend that I don't have this issue with some NPCs.
Seriously?
But I do have one person that I love to pieces, and if he sees this, he'll know I'm talking about him, who has worn the same kit for 6 years on and off and still puts on back to front. So please know which way round items of clothing go on.
So there you go. If you can dress yourself, and being an NPC might be for you. Pete, don't apply.
So we've already marked one out now. Look.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you, Bolam. Yeah, just don't even think.
It's a real
about
high
it.
Bar.
It is a high bar being able to dress
I'm sorry
yourself.
to disqualify you.
It's sad. It's sad. And Pizza does reenactment as well. Oh, bless his cottons.
Get that one day, buddy.
So Nick has asked if you could get one thing, if there were no budget limitations, what would you get?
Phil wants a big flaming beacon.
No, I don't. I don't. No, you've forgotten.
There's been
many
big
insane
thing from
ideas
Mad
that
Max,
we've had.
don't you? All the speakers, the fire, the guitar.
You're like, okay, you're really close.
I remember
right.
We found a trailer-mounted smoke machine. So driving that around on a battlefield and like gunning down people with smoke would be incredible. We've also there were plans in the past to have war rhinos built onto smart cars because the panels come on and off really easily, and you could actually like fit a smart car with a monster costume quite easily. So that kind of nonsense would be great. Also, though, for me, I desperately want to get back into doing more of the nation events, like the Wicker Man and that kind of thing that happened. That was all before my time. And I'm hoping the coronation will be a way that we can start to get back into it. But there's a lot more logistically behind the reason that they haven't happened than just PD couldn't be bothered, because that definitely is not the case. It's been quite an interesting time chatting with the PD team and that kind of thing to figure out, why aren't we doing these? Why hasn't it happened? And Yeah, there's a few different factors and bits and pieces involved. So hopefully we'll get back to it at some point.
I think if I had no budget, I would get a lot of far more alien-esque monster-style suits and stuff with lights built in and whatnot for all of the Eternals that aren't meant to have, like, humanoid forms, if that made sense. I think that would be up there on mine.
What do you mean? You want a washing machine?
Yeah, I do want a washing machine, but that's a no budget. That's okay, fine. If I were a budget, I'd have a permanent site, because when Matt emailed me about what I'd like on a permanent site, I asked for a washing machine.
Look,
You actually mean to say that you want tunics with front written in the front, on the front side or inside, so when people put it on, they see back, they go, oh, and then turn it around.
you think they can read? Come on now. The bar's not that high for NPCs.
I'm stumped.
No, exactly. Me too.
I'm done.
At one point, I did want like a nook on a watchtower with a crook, so that I could hook NPCs that put clothes on the wrong way round. But that seems like an irresponsible option for this. I don't think I'm going to be allowed to have a nook in the air.
We still need to make the LARP safe.
Yeah, I need a LARP safe coat hanger to
so
throw
you can
at
throw
people.
it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got a LARP safe potato, which is
I've got a LARP safe rolling pin and some LARP safe mushrooms.
That's cool.
Course.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm completely lost now. Forgot what I was doing.
Oh.
I had.
That's what we're like at every event. Yeah,
pretty much.
Sound like you're built for plot production.
I do love it's. I mean, you. That was it. You mentioned doing stuff like the nation-specific things and stuff like the Wicker Man and stuff like that, because all nations are meant to have like player-driven festivals and things like that they do. Wintermark, we don't get out of bed, basically. I will happily say this. I've been in Wintermark for years now, and it's only been this year we've actually done something as a nation. It's quite sad. It is upsetting, because I used to be in Navarre, and we had all this massive, all the spring festivals and stuff like that, and they were wonderful to be part of. You see the Wicker Man stuff going on, and they're great as well. You see Highguard doing their Walk of the Dead. You see all of this sort of stuff. You hear Dhi typing. It's your mechanical bloody keyboard. Oh, God.
I was responding to the chat.
Don't. They're bad people out there. We don't know who they are. Who are you responding to?
I want to be enabled.
You want to be enabled?
Oh no, I don't like that. Whatever that is, don't enable her. No, no.
It was Pete.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my very loud keyboard though.
Pete does actually make stuff. He makes weapons and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure. So we can add it to our fundraiser. Pete, how much would you charge for a LARP safe coat hanger? If we did wrong, Steve, you put us up to it. That is true. I do enable chat a lot. Pete, quote me. Give me a quote for a LARP safe coat hanger, and we'll see what we can do, because that would be hilarious to make.
It would both vastly improve my life and mean that NPCs were at less overall risk.
Of getting dressed wrong.
No, receiving an actual coat hanger.
Receiving an actual coat hanger.
Okay, so smart cars, smoke machine, washing machine, LARP safe coat hanger. Really simple.
Ultimately,
stuff.
like it is interesting saying stuff like if budget wasn't a restriction, whatever. But actually, but what we can actually achieve at an event right now within a weekend, the budgets are fine, and actually like PD is very generous with our team and everything that we do. I'm never feeling like we're particularly restrained. Like I might have to wait another year before I can start doing a bit more SFX development and that kind of thing. That's totally fine. I have enough kit as it is. It's just like nice toys and things. I guess the ultimate end goal for both me and Dyer and that kind of side of things is permanent site. Everything PD's doing in Unknown Worlds and all that stuff.
Which I think is going to be across the board for most crew, to be honest, because it would just help so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Actual buildings, not shitty tents, would be. Oh,
yeah, costume in like shitty weather is horrific, because even in good weather, Dew, if any costume is touching the floor first thing in the morning, immediate dew in costume. On wet events, I can do nothing to dry the kit, so NPCs can wear it once and then it is done for the event a lot of the time. And
Goes
it's
on the very sad
horrendous.
pile of wet costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's quite interesting. I think everyone I've spoken to in crew, a lot of people do say, yeah, permanent site is a massive thing. And I remember I had Matt P on a year and a half ago or so, and yeah, I mean, going on about Skaven was one thing, and then going on about what the permanent site was like the next biggest thing, and he had so many ideas and everything. So it's that's I mean, a permanent site would be wonderful. Proper car park. I think would be really good for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, look, we get crew camping luxury, so I don't know what you peasants have to deal with, but it's fine.
He said if I was good, I could even get a dryer on a permanent site. So best behaviour over here.
You got to chat with the Sparkies about that. Come on now, simmer down.
Yeah. So that was next. I get to scroll down in chat. Oh, this is amazing. So my little bar that's for chat is like halfway up at the moment. I'm so far behind on that screen. I'm up to date on this one, so I can see people being naughty and slagging me off. Thanks, Pete, by the way. Ultimately, we must hold Steve accountable for all the issues we may or may not have. They're not wrong. I can provide some immediate feedback. Kimmus heralds are immediately identified whenever I see them. The Thule warlocks who came to talk about the Valorn at E4 definitely stood out as not Imperial orcs to me.
Yay!
Yeah, then we go on to talk about the coronation.
This.
Carla has said she wants to go to the coronation because it's going to be her first event, so it'll be a bit of history to witness. So that's very, very cool. We got quite a lot of we get a lot of new players who watch this. Like less than 2 years, some less than a year. So it's really, really nice. And then we get people like Bolam, who's just fucking hell. Yeah, that was the coronation. I did laugh that a box of gifts I gave to the Grendel I made a deal with came back to me empty. That's
you have been warned.
Do either of you get to play in any player events or other LARPs at all?
Yes. So I do player. I don't know why I'm saying yes creepily over and over.
Yes. Which ones? I'm not telling you.
So I do
I just watch you through the windows.
Events.
Yes.
It's real creepy. I just voyeur people from a distance. No, I do play some player events sometimes. I've done photography for a few player events as well because I'm just oddly uncomfortable playing anything Empire related without having an element of crewing, I think, out of habit. I do always play some other systems, so I recently went back to LTF for a long time. I play Labyrinth, which is, the scourge of anyone who doesn't like maths or caves. And then just random, Phil made me play some online LARPs, which was awful but lovely trash. I tend to play games with Mandala a lot when we get chance, because we all just go together, and we often do a mixture of crew and playing those as well. I know Phil plays a lot more LARPs than I do. I can do this, and I know I'm pointing at him. This is excellent. Go on, Phil.
That's helpful because I'm down here in my Discord call, so that was very confusing. But yeah, I have never played Empire. I don't have a character, and I have no desire to ever play Empire. It's just not my kind of thing. I'm very glad that 3,000 odd people would love it. But for me, I need much more intimate, horrible roleplay in various forms, and that has now taken the form of International Nordic LARP predominantly. Yeah. I've gotten very much into the emotional terrorism side of things, and that's a lot of fun. Much smaller scale events and that kind of thing. But inherently, I'm addicted to crewing. I've got loads of LARPs booked in for next year, and I'm not playing a single LARP right now. I've just been asked to crew so many events all across Europe now, which is very, very exciting. So maybe I'll get around to playing a thing. I think I played 3 LARPs this year, maybe. Within the UK, I only seem to do horror stuff, like kind of one-off horror events. They're good fun. A lot of pre-modern, 70s, 80s kind of things.
Yeah.
And then a lot of international Nordic romance games or just horrible, depressing scenarios or whatever else. All that kind of stuff's great fun.
Just trauma or go home, basically, Phil. That's what
I'd love
sort of getting
Type
for
2.
this.
Type 2 fun is the best.
Type 2 fun is the best.
Yeah.
It's Nordic LARPs are weird.
Is it? Really?
They're so far out there, and they are, from my experiences of them, they are very one way or another. So there was one that I got invited to, and I talk about it a lot, because it might be happening, it might not be happening, who knows? And it's literally about Vikings, of Christianity, when the Vikings essentially took on Christianity as their main religion, and to get rid of asatru or paganism, however you wish to call it. And the LARP is literally about that. And you have a choice of, you can go in as a Jarl, you can go in as a Huskarl, or you can go in, you can play a serf. And they are literally giving you just a mattress to sleep on in a shed and things like that. And you are being ordered around constantly. So so there's that's what I've been invited to go on with a few people.
Interesting.
COVID obviously brought that one to a demise, unfortunately, so they're still trying to get that one too. Type 2 fun is fun as long as we keep telling ourselves it's fun. Basically, yeah, because there's also a French Foreign Legion LARP. I don't know if you've heard about this one, where it's might be a little bit too close to comfort to Russia at the moment, but you are literally doing
it's the actual hike one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a 10-mile hike.
Legion, sorry,
yeah. So there's that as well. So do you do anything like with Chaos League and stuff like that? Because they go off to like the Sahara for more. It's like
I've heard about that. That sounds amazing. What have I done? So the way I got started in playing events, because actually up until the pandemic, I had only ever crewed LARPs, and I didn't ever think that I would want to play something, because a lot of
loser nerds. You kept calling
it is like, why would you want to role play? It sounds gross. No, within the UK scene, and from what I could see of it, none of it really grabbed me or particularly interested me.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, obviously, I'm addicted to running LARPs. I'm surrounded by friends who also want to run LARPs, so we had to figure out, how do we do this online LARP thing? How do we start using Discord or whatever else, and like actually take that as a platform for running a game, using the role systems and everything else to actually use those as gameplay mechanics and that kind of thing, and do some weird experimental stuff, and that was really fun. And then through working on some bits and pieces and hearing player feedback from other international players as it happened, heard about a weird little dystopian romance LARP called Together Forever, where it is set in like the 2050 or something like that, and there's a horrible pandemic outside. Wow, how inspired. But the big deal is you can't ever leave your home, basically. Blue collar workers do have to leave their home, but it's always in a hazmat suit, so it's considered very dangerous. So the only way you can ever move out of your parents' home, basically, and in with a loved one, is to go through the government-mandated Together Forever program, in which you'll be assigned 3 potential matches who you have a strong emotional connection to, and then after the end of that process, you will be assigned your forever match, and you can choose to accept that or not. And keep in mind having a strong emotional connection to people, because this could be, in one run, we had a widow and their husband's murderer. They have a very strong emotional connection.
Oh.
It's not a good one.
No.
So it's a very like drama-fueled LARP in that sense, and obviously the system's quite flawed. But that's just a fascinating romancy kind of game. We recently did an in-person run of that at the beginning of this year, which is a really like fun. That like completely changed the format of the game in a really fun way.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and obviously that's a lot more low-key in the grand scheme of things, and it is basically just flirting with a lot of other polyamorous nerds, but it's great fun. And probably I actively play terrible, horrible people, because I just find it so funny when people then like fall for that character. There's like, that says a lot more about you than it does me.
I was just saying, I think I agree with you too. It's really strange to play like characters that people don't see you as, because whereas I'm ex-military, so I only tend to play fighty boys and stuff like that and get really angry and shouty and stuff like that. And then when I play Vampire the Masquerade, and they see me as essentially a necromancer mafia don who does no fighting whatsoever, but can destroy you with his influence and stuff like that. Doesn't have to shout, doesn't anything, but is really, really creepy inherently.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. The roleplay is so different. And I find that because people aren't used to it from me, it freaks them out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, I love it.
I'm very, very happy to play a villain character or whatever that looks like and give people that chance to roleplay off of. I tend to find even when I play a LARP, I almost feel like a bit of an NPC in the sense of I'm constantly thinking, what can I do in this scene right now to amp up someone else's game and give them something to roleplay off of, as opposed to, what do I want out of this scene? Because whatever, I'll roll with the flow. I'm happy to see what happens. Yeah. But knowing that, again, in the same way, if I'm in the back of an encounter tent twiddling some dials and pumping some sound out and whatever, and getting that reaction from players, knowing that I did something that has elevated someone's game it gives me so much satisfaction. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really, really cool. Dee?
I answered first.
You did. Yeah,
I got so engrossed.
You don't do the international stuff.
Yeah, I got so engrossed in that conversation with Phil.
You did. I'm good. I'm just swaying backwards and forwards quite happily listening. So I'm just a viewer at this point that occasionally heckles.
It's really nice to hear that that crew go off and do a lot of other stuff as well, especially as you say you don't get into the field that much. So that's really, really good to hear. That really is good to hear. Right, next question. Let's keep scrolling. Oh my god, it's gone away from me again.
Me and Di thought we were going to be really boring and no, hear from us. So
I did say to you that chat are amazing. The community are phenomenal here, and hearing that everything seeing your photos when you passed them for the thumbnail, I knew this wasn't going to be a boring chat immediately. This is going. They've sent in proper LARP photos before this. Have you seen Erin and John's?
No, thank you.
Total goblin photos.
It was brilliant. It was so good. Pete's now admitted that he puts on matching socks purely by accident. So, you know, this is good. So, no NPC there from Pete.
No.
I can make you a LARP safe hanger if you really want one. Yes, we do. We really, really do, Pete. A nice pink. I was going to say, yeah, pink one. So, yeah, if you can. And then they're just slagging me off.
I wasn't mad.
Do wonder what Labyrinth is like. Think it's only an hour away. Want to try out Gritlands next year. I think I've caught up with chat. Oh, that's amazing. Curtis said he first met Dee briefly at Matchmade. Last
year, yeah, I was Mel. I'm a Navari Naga. Red scales, very ginger, autumnal leaves all over me a lot of the time. So, probably.
You are very ginger.
Again. Very ginger.
Very, very ginger.
I was going to say, like you said that, like that's very specific to that character.
Yeah.
It's like, no one could tell. It's fine, don't worry.
I said like you wouldn't know.
No idea.
It's fine, I'm bald. I know it's a shock, but don't worry about it.
I just thought it was the green screen.
It's
all betrayal.
Normally, it's when I put my because I haven't put on any of my Christmas hats. I've got one Christmas hat that if I put it on for the green screen, it just looks pretty.
Just vanishes.
Oh
yeah.
There you go.
How's that going to look? Oh, that's beautiful.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Christmas Dalek hat.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah. It's like the John McEnroe headband.
I have no hats.
I have no hats.
I do have the wisdom hat though. This is people have been calling it. So
that is so wise.
That's incredible.
It's really
wowie. Yeah. Just set the record straight in case anyone's thinking that I cut all my hair off or whatever. It's all here. It all exists.
Green screen.
Green screen.
Green screen. The wonders. So glad Snowman hat finally came out. I know. I know. Don't get any costume ideas. I'm not. Don't worry. Don't worry. I've cruised some lots before. I just don't wear socks. Problem solved. Excellent. Serious professional streamers. We're doing really well. I think we've done phenomenally well. So we talked about getting volunteers in, and saying that you're only do it because does Autumn, does she come under your remit as well?
Not quite. Autumn is part of the ref team, but I work
Okay.
very closely with them. Yeah, they've effectively taken over manning the Regio for me
Yeah.
and looking after like a lot of the sound design and stuff. They're entirely doing themselves, and that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
taken a lot of pressure off my back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're working very closely together, but not part of my plot production team as such. They're still very much Corley of ref because they're still doing whatever refs do on a database during an event to process magic. Stuff.
Okay, no, it's excellent. It's just yeah, from my time at the Regio for a Whispers about Gate, they were phenomenal. So
Yep.
really, really
Been
good.
an absolute blessing for me since they started doing that stuff. Absolute blessing.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Do we have any more questions from the chat? Because I've actually caught up. This is amazing. Most of it was just abuse towards me. So
It is a fluke. This is
No, it's not.
Cassie.
It's a
This
fluke.
is
Literally not floof.
Okay, so it's literally not Floof in a sense that my other cat is actually called Floof, aka God King Scobold. Sorry, but this is Caspi.
Excellent.
Introduce.
It's a
He looks
cat.
afeared now that I've made him wave.
Yeah, it's a cat. Not for me. Not for me.
No.
Unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
just make me.
Brenda the dog is very comfortably downstairs right now, and I will not be bringing her up. But
No, yeah. See,
she's a
dogs.
good girl.
Yeah, dogs are more my thing. A fur baby. Yes.
Yeah.
So, where do you see? I mean, if Empire keeps on growing the way that it is, and it's
Yeah.
very, very quickly, probably to the point where PD will probably have to put a cap on players because there will literally be no space anywhere left in that field unless Matt wants to start incorporating letting people sleep in his place with him, which I don't think he'll be too grateful for.
It's not even that much space on there. Like, it's
I know he's got his own little cave. Where would you like to see it all go? I mean, we get the permanent site and stuff like that. Would you like it to be like you've got your own, like, I suppose, warehouse type building, stuff like that, with everything set up? Because you mentioned the Dutch stuff that you were looking at earlier, where you had access to everything from a specific location. A special location, it would be a special location to you, but a specific location. Is that the sort of like the pipe dream for you there, to have everything just at the push of a button?
the way that it kind of actually loosely needs to get thought about is once we have a permanent site and that kind of thing, and the end goal is that it is the UK National LARP Centre. In order to allow other events to be to integrate with that site and use the facilities, there is going to need to be a level of staff there. So I think both me and Di have expressed interest in, well, if you want people to hire costume, that's a full-time job looking after that. That's not something you can do just on the weekend for fun.
Oh,
And
the
the same way
dream
all
of
the-
having a walk-in wardrobe.
Yeah, right. Be radical.
Empire.
And then the same with the special effects. Like, I would want people to be able to use all of that kit, but I don't expect everyone to have years of professional live events experience using it. So I would want to be helping them on the ground. So yeah, all the facilities ready to go. Everything is on that site will need to be able to support and run Empire, and then that's all very modular and very adaptable for other people's events. But I think both of us have expressed an interest in wanting to physically man that, as it were, and help run that side of things in the future.
Okay, that does make a lot of sense. We've had a few more questions pop up. I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well. So Bolam has asked, what's a favourite costume you've seen from the player side of things, or maybe a camp setup you've been impressed by? Obviously, assuming you've escaped over the hedge at some point.
Yeah, over to you, Dar.
I can't remember. There's a league I really like at the moment, but I don't know what they're called. They have like short shorts, and they've got a little like mousy mask, and it's pink,
Andy.
yellow, and white. Andy Siegel, is it?
Yeah.
Andy Siegel.
Yeah.
I really, really like their kit. Their kit's excellent. Their kit makes me happy. So yeah, I had to think off the top of my head. Like, there's a lot, but that's the first one that springs to mind. So we're gonna go with that. Else this could go on forever.
Yeah, well,
So currently, that's my that's really cool. Thank you.
and Andy makes kit for a living
Yes.
as well, doesn't he? He's very, very talented
Yeah.
as well. Him and Matt, what they do. So that's really good. My kit will never come up in any conversations unless it's in a conversation of what the fuck was that we just saw. That's literally the only way my kit ever comes up. Funnily enough, I did actually have someone say to me, "Oh, I really like the tassets you've got on your kit." And I was like, "Thank you very much. They were a gift from Matt from Armchair Armories."
I do enjoy tassets. Tassets always.
Yeah, but
I don't know what they are.
It's like thigh and arse armor essentially.
Yeah, you change from your
cool.
belt, innit?
It's yeah. I would say that I rock them, but I'm quite fat, so they cover my arse nicely, but they're more of side armor than at the front. So you know, it is that tacit approval. Thank you, Don. So where is it? Back up to Pete. What are the things that you can speak about? Are you looking forward to for the next year or year after?
Go on, Phil, it's your turn.
Is it my turn? Because
Yeah.
I totally know what's coming up in the next year or two.
I just took a turn. Come on.
Okay, I will look at the database where all the plot exists in March, and I'll let you know. I guess the coronation's the only thing I actually know that's happening next year.
Are you looking forward to it, Phil? Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, let's say yes. Sure. There we go. Well, there'll be another thing that I produce. It'll be fine. Something will happen. Probably.
Oh, fucking hell. I love it. I love it. Because you know the correct
again,
answer. Are you looking forward to this, Phil? No.
Don't be silly.
Come on now. Let's be realistic.
Would it be type 2 if I was really looking forward to it?
Look,
Is it going to
ever
make me
since the-
cry? Am I
The
going to become
only
emotionally damaged from
Okay.
this?
Now you're bringing up a lot of like pain and trauma here. The only good reason there ever was to go onto the player field was before time in to go and get breakfast from the wooden spoon. And since they aren't on the field anymore, I am devastated.
Me too.
So that side of the hedge is just dead to me now. Until they come back, I don't care.
A wooden spoon,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Food with a hat.
The trenches.
Yeah.
The trenches.
I'm glad you understood what this was.
I know.
Please, sir. Can I have some more?
It was amazing. They used to send a runner down to Monster to get our meal tickets to then like take our order, and then they just come back with loads of food.
Yeah.
It was the best.
On the last
They
day,
understood
it
our
was
pain.
so good during pack down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved the
Devastated.
wooden spoon so much. I remember going in there once, and they were crossing off bread and butter pudding off their list because they'd forgotten to bring custard.
Oh, no.
And
That's tragic.
I went
That's
to
tragic.
Tesco's for them and bought shitloads of powdered custard for them. They gave me free food for the event. They were amazing. They were so good.
Great
So
people.
yeah, so for one event, if you had bread and butter pudding, you're welcome to everyone out there. So they were so good. It's an absolute
Lovely.
travesty that they haven't been back since. Absolute travesty.
Maybe one day.
I hope so. Oh, Sharp Pete. Does Dee keep a stapler in mind when designing costume?
No. No, I safety pin a lot of things, and even that isn't necessarily safe. Because, so I dress Matt. Matt P is really bad at keeping hold of his own clothes, like immensely bad at it. I've had instances, so obviously crew do leave some of their clothes with me when they go on field, and I've had instances where Matt has put his things down next to someone else's, not been able to tell them apart afterwards, despite being totally different things, and just walked off with someone else's clothes for a while. So I monitor Matt if he's getting changed anywhere but the Matt cave. And once I was doing up leg wraps on him, and you have to like pin leg wraps to make them sit nicely because he has the ability to lose any item of clothing that isn't pretty much attached to him. And this became slightly too attached to him because I went, Matt, please don't move, and he went across his leg whilst I was pinning the thing on. So I've shanked Matt a number of times, and I don't think that would be any safer with a stapler.
They're kind of mocking me here because my crafting ability is 0. And one event when I had made like a war skirt for me, I made myself bleed because the staples were coming out of the war skirt and I was cutting myself. So
for shame.
Yeah,
for shame.
I get that reaction off of everybody. And it's like, oh, how did you make that with staples? Staples, my dear. Do you hear me? So yeah,
if you play like pre-modern 1980s games, you just go get a pair of jeans and you're done. Yeah. It's so much easier, guys. Come on now.
It's exactly it. See, if you look into chat, so Phil H001, that's Helen, that's my wife. It's disgusting. It's better than the sewing, however. So yeah, she won't. I'm not allowed to do anything. I'll start to do it. Yeah, I'm so shit at it though. I am awful.
Bolan, the answer is no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
So you were talking about Matt P then. Excellent stuff. So Matt P
famously doesn't get told off if she answers a question. I see how this is.
Yeah. So Matt P
such a delight.
Famously can't dress himself. Wonderful.
Yeah. Or tell clothes apart.
Oh dear. I love it.
Well, so Matt,
where are your clothes? This is the 3rd time today.
The thing is that Matt can't mentally like visualize clothing and things like that. Now, he didn't tell me this until I had crewed for about 5 years, and up to that point, whenever we'd had like conversations about costume briefs, I'd mentally describe to him how something was. I was like, okay, so we go for like long tunics with drop sleeves and slits at the shoulder and stuff, and he'd go, yeah. And I think I've spent hours of my life doing that until the point that Matt went, by the way, whenever we have these conversations, I can't visualize anything. And I was like, it's been 5 years, Matt. Did you never think to bring that up at any point before now?
So Matt is one of these, was it like...
Aphantasia.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Me too.
10%, 15% or something of the population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love
the notion that anyone could visualize things in their head is wild. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do that. That's nuts.
I absolutely love Matt to pieces, but that's the kind of information I could have done with at the start. I spent hours of my life explaining things to him in words, and he just never mentioned that it didn't do anything for him.
That's amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I adore Matt. We bought him a coffee travel mug once for Christmas, and it said Matt P, creator of profound decisions on it. We thought, that was a nice double meaning there. It was really, really good. He got it. There was a note in there saying it was from us and everything, and then he came on stream and we were going, did he get it? And he was just like, oh, was that from you? He was like, no, Matt, it was. It was great. Oh dear. So you need to take the toddler approach of attaching gloves to jackets with strings and every bit of kit connected to Matt with lengths of string.
Yes, and safety pins. Like, I don't know how he does it. Sometimes Raph can do it as well, but somehow, no matter how attached him kit is, Matt will manage to lose things every time.
I love it.
Sometimes before he's made it out the monster tent.
I love it. So,
God.
So these sorts of, when I do these sorts of chats, they normally go for an hour to an hour and 10. We've been going for 90 minutes, so we've done phenomenally well. So when I end the stream, if you hang about for a second, because Matt P is notorious for when I say, right, okay, thank you for coming on, he just leaves. He just fucks off. And it's just like, and then it changes everything around, and I'm like,
yeah.
It's just like a meeting that we have. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm used to this.
He's terrible. He's awful for it.
Vanishes the second it seems like it's round up. He's like, cool. Bye.
I hope he's enjoying that. I bet he's enjoying his new webcam as well, because we bought that for him as well. Because the first time we had him on, the quality was awful. You could barely see him. He looked like like Mario from like the very first Super Mario game.
Incredible.
So he did well, but
I've never had a PD meeting and turned on webcams. That sounds wild.
Me
Why-
neither.
No,
Really?
no. Yeah, they're all voice.
oh, okay, fair. I can't imagine doing it on any like meetings or chats with people on voice anymore. So the only person I've ever had on stream that wanted to, that I said can only do it by voice, was the CEO of By Night Studios, who was CEO of By Night Studios at the time. He's been replaced 3 times over now, all for similar dickish reasons. Really horrible company, horrible
Sounds
company.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, so everyone in chat, thank you so much for coming along to watch all of the questions. All of the questions have been great. This was really cool to hear about. Thanks, Steve, and guests. There we go. Phil, Dee, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for giving me the best thumbnail I've ever had to work on. It was...
You are more than welcome.
More than welcome.
This has been a lot of fun. This really has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed doing this. I'm hoping that in the new year, I will be allowed to come along to film on the Wednesday to do a big behind-the-scenes thing for PD. I will come down and find you both. Hopefully, we'll have a coat hanger for one of you as well.
You'll if you come on if you're doing it on the Wednesday, not the Thursday, you'll get to just video the space where Monster will magically appear.
I know.
And my converted ambulance, which we sleep in. That's
I do.
Yeah.
I used to do like for the first couple of years I did red capping, so I was on gate crew
Sure.
when I put everything
Yeah.
up. So yeah, so I used to do crew a lot because I was a very, very poor person all the way back then. I couldn't afford it, so I used to help set up and take down and do all of that. So yeah, so I've got a lot of time for everybody who works behind the scenes. And something I always say is that everyone who does all the crewing, everything across the board, you don't get enough thanks in my eyes. So I mean, I would personally like to say thank you for everything you do for the game, because you don't get enough thanks for me personally. So all your hard work, your effort. I mean, I know, Phil, you're just a glutton for punishment and you seem to really enjoy it, but still, a big thanks for everything that you do. It's really appreciated. And I think everybody would agree with me on that front as well. So I really appreciate you both coming on to chat about everything you do. It's been really interesting. Really, really interesting.
It's been good fun. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So
I managed to not spam my crying emote all the way through this, and I'm really
You
proud
didn't
of
do it
myself.
once, actually.
I didn't.
Do you
I
want to
was
do it
really
once now?
good.
Do you want to give
I
it
would,
once?
yeah.
Do it now.
Whip it out.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, beautiful.
It makes my
There we
life
are.
so much better.
Mhm.
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Um,
That's me crying at us leaving, clearly.
We'll run with that one.
That's
That
Why
we'll
not?
go with that. We'll go with that. Who are we gonna raid? Oh, let's raid Mini Arcana. They're playing Minecraft, so this is another Empire player. So go give them all the love in the world, everybody in chat, and I might stream again this year. Who knows? Who knows? But take care, everybody. Look after yourself.